Good afternoon and welcome once again to another exciting edition of Inside ProCents, where our purpose is simple: to showcase our members, to shed a little light on the value that ProCents is providing to our industry players, and most of all, to let you hear that value directly from our members' lips. My name is Devin Anderson, and I'm the president here at ProCents. And as always, I am joined by my friends and ProCents leadership team, Mr. J.R. Edens, a ProCents partner, waving at us highly in the upper left corner, and our CEO, Mr. Matt Russell. Matt, would you like to say a few words before we get started?
I'm excited for this, as I am every call, but to learn more about the LED advisors, what Bill brings to the table for the entire environment. I'm excited for that to be shared with everyone, and hopefully we can bring more business to both parties. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely, right on. All right, so today we are featuring one of our ProCents buyers within the ProCents environment, Mr. Bill Fricker, the owner of LED Advisors. LED Advisors is based out of Columbus, Ohio. Good morning, Bill, and welcome to Inside ProCents.
We're actually based out of Dayton, Ohio, but that's okay.
That's all right. I've been corrected now early in the show already. That's kind of how I expected it to
go. Shows you how well prepared you are.
Well, it's on your website, so let's talk about that.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I get all my information.
Uh-huh.
It's a cheat sheet. Anyway, good morning, Bill. It's good to have you out here. Let's get this party started. As always, let's begin by shining a light on you. I'll let you talk about yourself because we all know you like to do that. With a little self-promotion, tell us a bit about your organization. And then the second part of that question, you and I have spoken many times. You're one of the most active buyers that we have in the environment, and your belief in ProCents model has led you to become one of our 5 board members as well. I think it's safe to say you've been brought into what we are providing, and you have a positive view of the ProCents model. That said, I do remember engaging you back in November, and I would have to say that that engagement was easily the toughest member to get across the line to date. It was definitely a lot of fun, and it's one of the reasons why I actually enjoy you. Take us back to our initial introduction of ProCents and tell us what finally not only got you across the line to become a member, but what is it that has made you active within the environment and ultimately drove you to become a board member?
Well, of course, from our first meeting, as I gave you such a hard time, is that I explained to you that I didn't really feel that I needed your help because I was doing quite a bit of business with a lot of other manufacturers and such, and had some pretty good lines already and established. And but I listened to your marketing spiel, as we want to say it, and when you started crying, I figured I better give you a chance. Otherwise, I felt like I didn't want you to have anything happen to you on my conscience. So, but I looked into it. You give a very compelling argument, and I also champion and like to see things that are new and that's startup to be successful. Every company I start off from ground zero. And so, you kind of tug at a heartstring that you kind of struck home that, you guys are a new group, you're trying to make it happen. And I looked at that, and you seem like a pretty good person. Even after you cried on my shoulder a little bit, I was okay about that.
Tears are powerful.
But, so, I looked at some of the lines you said you were looking at, and looked at the concept, and I thought, why not? I had nothing to lose. I had everything to gain. I'm always into looking at meeting new people, trying to see, how they can help me build my business. I'm a firm believer that you're only good as the people you're surrounded by. So I like to surround myself by good people, surrounded by good companies. And so that's the only way I know how to grow a business and grow it right. And I saw your concept seemed like it could benefit my company a little bit, and I figured why not give it a shot. There wasn't any risk, and an opportunity for some some growth. So with that in mind, I think I've reached out to all of your sellers in your program, and to this date, they're all been very receptive. It seem like they're very open and very helpful to try to help get involved with my company, and it seems like any other company involved with ProCents. And I think that's a good thing to help with companies, especially in our industry, if you're just starting out. I mean, you have been a great asset when I first started, 7 years ago. It'd been great to have this to be able to get involved with and say, great, this would be a great springboard to either to base my business off of or to at least grow it and keep growing. So I like your concept. I think you've got a good idea. It's just a matter of now is everyone's going to support it, or are they going to give you rhetoric and not support it?
Absolutely. It's always the question. Tell us a little bit about your business. What give us kind of the LED Advisors summary.
Well, the LED summary is pretty straightforward. I designed this company I can wrap my arms around. I'm not a very real large company that have multiple locations or anything like that. We have an office. I have 2,000 square feet for storage, for if I need product. But everything I do is very much a straightforward concept. We work directly with all the end users. I have direct relationship with manufacturers, as I do with ProCents, with other manufacturers. We will design it, we'll install it, we'll do all of any rebates, anything is necessary to make the job to retrofit to LED easier. So with all that in mind, the concept I've created is bringing unique manufacturers and product and a vision to doing what we do in our industry. And most people in our industry come from the distributor side, the electrical supply houses. They send some guy out there and says, "Oh, I got a pallet of this product. I can throw those up and do this." We all know that it's not always the right way of doing it. We try to take a little bit more personalized approach to it and explain the reason why this is what you need and not what you need. And I like to think that I like to be the smartest person in that room regarding my product line. And if I'm not, I shouldn't be doing the business. And so when we're done completing a project, the customer doesn't say, "Oh, that looks nice." They're like, "Wow, that looks really good." So we always try to impress them. We always try to create that standard, and it's helped me grow my business. I get a lot of referral. I get a lot of my electrical contractors now are pulling me in. One of my concepts that we utilize, and I'll share with people, is that I reach out to a lot of electrical contractors, and I try to be one of their outside salesperson for them. So I go out there and I'll represent them. I won't go around them. They'll bring me into their customer, and I'll do their total lighting layout. And then before I go back, we'll put their markup in it and everything else, and they turn around and they win a lot more jobs versus just trying to slap some product up. So LED Advisors is not, I like to think it's not just another Me Too type of product. We're not out here, as I call trunk slammers, trying to sell a light bulb out of my trunk. We're out there trying to develop a relationship. We're trying to show the professionals and that we're going to do a very good job. And if it's not right, I'll take care of it. And it's happened. I mean, not very often, but if it's not right, I'll take it down. I'll pay for the replacement of it. So customers know that I stand behind what I say, and that's important to me, and it's also important to growth of my business.
Right on. JR, you got a question?
Yeah, Bill, man, it's great to have you part of the community and the environment, whether you're in Columbus or Dayton or whatever part of Ohio you're in. We're glad to have you part of it.
You don't know.
Yeah, wherever you are, we're glad you're here.
He identifies as Dayton.
As Devin has stated, you are one of our most active members, and we appreciate that. Can you give us an example or two where just some interactions that really has been beneficial and shown how the environment's helped you out?
Now, say that again. I missed that, JR, and I apologize.
I was just going to say, since you're so active, I just want to ask you if you had any kind of examples you can talk to us about that's really made a change and shown how the environment's really helped you.
Well, I'll give you for instance, so one of the sellers, Maverick Energy Systems, they came down here with Tim Tuttle and the owner of the company came down, we sat down, had a breakfast, and we sat down and talked for 2.5 hours. And we had a really good conversation. And we both kind of hit it off to a certain degree. They were impressed with what I was offering, and I was impressed on how they were very attentive in trying to support what I was doing. So with that in mind, so I've put together, just realistically in the last 2 weeks, they've gotten 3 decent projects. I've done the airport in Batavia, Ohio, which is outside of Cincinnati. I just put in a bunch, they're in the hangars with the UFOs from MES. They're right now in a process where we got a large project I'm working out here in a small city outside of Dayton called Springfield. And it's a big machine shop, and we're putting up 108 linear high base. I actually had that already specified out with another product line. And they came to me and said, listen, can you cut 10% off this project? I said, well, I can see what I can do. With the company I had in there, there was no room to cut out unless I was going to take 10% less on a margin. By then, it's not worth me doing. So I went to MES, and they stepped up to the table, and they gave me a great alternative. And my guys are installing it now. We probably got, now say 75% of it installed as we speak. And I asked my installers, I says, what do you think of the product? And they says, we really like it. I said, it's a pretty good product. So, it shows that it works if you put the right things together. It's like anything else. You put the right medicine, you're gonna get the best outcome. And I've also talked to a couple others. I've talked to John over there at Ecolite. We spent the other day, he was driving back in Louisiana, and we come to find out we know some of the same people from that area. And we had a great conversation, and we started talking about stadium lights. Well, I got a couple projects that we're working on, and I'm going to bring John into them. I'm going to have him start looking at some of the stuff and have some opportunities. I got a lot of projects going on. I mentioned this before. I got a company that I pay that sets up appointments for me. I get approximately from 7 to 10 new appointments every month. So these are opportunities that I can bring in some of our existing sellers, and I will do that. I can't cut out all the existing relationships I have with my current, but I can at least add some to it and give some other different viewpoints or different products that maybe help entice closing some more business.
Right on. No, that's great information. And I'm glad that you're connected with those guys. John's an amazing guy. Definitely a mover and a shaker. He's one of my favorite people in the environment. Our guys over at Maverick, you mentioned them as well. Peter is just one of those stellar entrepreneurial guys. He wants to do business, and really that's kind of the definition of the sellers that have kind of entered into our environment. They're already doing business. They're doing other things, but they see this as a kind of like you did, like it's a new way of connecting, something that really there's no risk coming into it this early in the game, and in the long run you get involved with a developing concept, you become a winner long term. So it's a good thing, and I appreciate that example.
Well, one thing I want to add, this program work, all of us who are out here are buyers, and also include the sellers. You got to put some effort into it, and you get out. If you don't put any effort in it, you don't get any returns. What do you think a farmer does? Does a farmer just plant the seed and wait for it to grow? It's, you got to fertilize it, you got to cultivate it, you got to weed it, you got to do everything, water it, and if you don't do that, none of this stuff is going to be successful. And that's the reason I try to reach out to each of these sellers, introduce myself, and see what they have. I mean, not all of them have something that I think that would help me beneficial, but you know what? I'll give them my best shot. But the whole point I'm trying to make, though, is that you get out of it what you put into it.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And it's it's a really simple effort too. It's not like we're asking a lot from everybody. We're asking people to communicate, respond, same day, and to do what you say you're going to do. They're really, if you do those 3 things, I think 99% of the challenges that people face in the industry go away, because it's happening on both sides and everybody works together. All right, well, let's go ahead and move you into the next phase of our process here.
Okay.
I'm going to drop you into the Thunderdome, which is known as the Matt Russell Zone, and let him go ahead and ask a few questions. We don't know what he's going to ask, even though he's been given questions. So just be prepared.
Be gentle, Matt.
I'll do my best. Well, Bill, the nice thing about everything that you said kind of leads right into the.
And that's the best part of
Devin kind of alluded to it
right
just a little bit ago. The environment provide. We're talking about same day turnaround, same day conversations, response, and then also leaning into the environment. But what has made you feel comfortable in leaning in as hard as that you have, and also, what's been that comfort level for you to make recommendations to help grow your business within your network, and also maybe invite other people in, because I know you've done that already.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, realistically, and Devin, you did a good job, and I'll give you a hard time, but that's good for you, and I need to keep you sharp. As the old saying, steel makes you stronger. When steel works with steel, it makes you stronger, right? So I give you a hard time because I kind of enjoy having some, response to some things I say to you. But the things about what makes I feel comfortable with is just after I talk with some of these sellers and the way they respond to me, and then they're willing to. I talked to a couple and they're like, "Here, let me send you a couple samples." Wow, okay. It's like, I understand it costs money. I don't expect them just to throw away money. And they were just very open to try to get me to see what the quality of their product was. So, I look at the people that I'm talking to and how open they are and how receptive they are to wanting to help out. And, you get a lot more done. You get a lot more from people when you give with honey than you do with vinegar. And, in our industry, some of these people, they don't put the extra effort in to try to gain their confidence. And some of the sellers have done that, and they seem very open. And I know that it's a wait and see season to see if this concept is going to work. So, as I said earlier, if I don't try, then shame on me. You got to believe in it. I think you got the good program. I think, like I introduced you, one of the group that out of Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Steve and them are doing really well. Do they need you guys? But I think they do. Their product lines are anything like I do. I got some name brand product lines. They got stuff I've never heard of. So we all know what that means, right? So they're just buying these secondary lines. So you need a good blend of products. And so I believe in that. I think that your concept of you bring some good product lines in here and you bring some good people that support it, I think the results are going to be great. But so at this point in time, I've been very, been positive and been, I'm very open to trying to make you guys successful. And I figure if you're successful, it will help make me more successful.
That's the formula right there. That's the absolute formula. Because really, none of it works if, we talk about this all the time, the overlap of buyer, seller, and ProCents. If any one of us is not doing our jobs, the system breaks. And so it's really important that we always are communicating, that we're always doing what we say we're going to do, and that we're always turning inward towards each other. When we do that, then all of a sudden you have something that's pretty powerful. So, Matt, you got another one?
Yeah. So the last question, and I appreciate all the insights because I know it's bringing value to, people are going to watch this and hear it later. But for you as a buyer, what's one big thing that we could bring into the environment that you see as a gap within your product line? And I'll throw out some examples. So obviously we got EV chargers. That might be something that you're looking at doing. But is it, more services, audits, AGI 32? What are some the things, or one thing that you say, man, if I could plug that in, it would really help me in the rest of 2022 and into 2023?
Well, I think there's a lot of different product lines. There's so much stuff out there. Just like I called Devin yesterday. I'm looking for safety lights. You know, it'd been nice to have a line that we can do safety lights, because, you know, all the companies we're going to, they got forklifts and cranes and they got all kinds of different lights. And, you know, and that's a big industry. And it'd be nice to have some resources that were in these plants. And, you know, I do a lot of that business now. I'm in plants, and it'd be nice to say, I can give you those crane lights. I can do you these safety lights. And I think categories like that, I think, are gaps that would be very helpful. The electrical vehicle charging stations is a great option. ROI, I think it'd be a good option too. I mean, I utilize one now, and I think I've told Devin this, and I've been with them since the first day of the inception. I met him out at one of the light fairs, and met the owner, and he's built the company, and I really like the ROI, and it does a lot of nice things. He ended up getting it bought out by Wesco, and now Wesco owns it, and he still runs it. But, you know, these are good resources that we could utilize that could be helpful to some, because a lot of people just go to snap count. Snap count's very expensive. Don't publish that, edit that out. And yeah, so, you know, we got to look at this stuff. You know, we're not all big companies right now. We're not all these multi-million-dollar companies that we can go out there and just throw money away. We have to be very conservative in our approach and how we do business. We have to be, you know, more selective. And, you know, we have to be selective on the quality of the products and who we want to do business with, because they represent us and we're in front of the customer. And that's important. One thing I did talk to all the sellers you have there, the first thing I said to all of them is that, you know, I'm going to base our relationship is going to be based upon, you know, everybody wants me to buy something from you, but what happens once I buy something from you and 2 years later I need it replaced? Are you going to put me through the ringer? Are you going to make it real hard for me? Or are you going to take care of it? And I says, that's who I do business with. That tells me that you're a quality company and you're not going to make it difficult, because you know what? Customers only remember how you take care of their problems, not what you did up front. They forget you as soon as you walk out that door. One thing they remember, they call you up, say, hey, I got a light out. How are you going to take care of that? That's all they remember.
Yeah.
So that's going to be important for us to make sure all of our sellers are very supportive that, you know, we have a defective item, that I don't have to give up my firstborn child to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely right. You know, you know, we're all in this to make money. I mean, we're businesses for profit, you know, we're not a nonprofit. So in doing that, we have to, you know that, you know, along the way, you know, one deal can kill, you know, in a bunch of deals. Because if you don't service them right when something happens, that can leave a lasting impression on what the expectation could be for future projects. And it has to be a partnership, and that's why this environment exists, because it's to help bring that into fruition, and then to help hold people to a little bit higher standard. And, you know, for like yourself in Dayton, Ohio, or we have, you know, people like Monica in Minnesota and Jim in Oklahoma, you know, they have a similar business model, but if they're looking at similar lines, and the lines are now looking and saying, well, the environment is producing all of this. If we screw one over, we could possibly lose the entire book. So this is that group mentality that allows the leverage to better position the buyers in the eyes of the sellers, but also gives the sellers an apt place to go and sell to, because people like yourself and others within the environment have gone through the road of hard knocks and, you know, come out on the other side and been in business for, you know, 5, 10 or plus years and made a career out of it. So, you know, we want both parties to be successful.
Yeah. And, you know, I might add one more thing to that too. I mean, everything you just mentioned comes back to the partnership thought process. And, you know, when you say we're a company that's out here to make money, which we all are, part of what makes the partnerships work is the fact that you have to understand that the people you're working with are also businesses making money. So whatever your business model is, whatever your go-to-market strategy is, and whatever your support system is, it has to be with others in mind. In other words, you're doing this to build your own business, but to build the partnerships and build them that are sticky with relationships and or with the people that you're working, with, that you're contracting in the field. If you're not thinking of them as well within the process, then you're missing a very big part of what ProCents is all about. So,
well, one thing I want to add to that, it's very easy. I mean, I have access, and all of you have access to hundreds of manufacturers. Okay. And over the years, I found out it's not always about who gives you the best price. And you try to partner with and become a partner with a select group of manufacturers and support those manufacturers. And if the manufacturers that you bring on board on the ProCents can offer that, then it'll turn into a long-term relationship, not a short-term relationship. And honestly, you can't make everybody happy. I mean, I can't give enough business to every manufacturer I do business with, make them always happy. But I can always try to do my best on the ones that go above and beyond. Okay. And I brought that up with Maverick. I'll be honest with you, they kind of surprised me. And they've done a really good job of supporting the things, and now they've enjoyed some decent business from me, and it gets some opportunity for some very large business from me. And so it's all about partnering, guys. It's all about partnerships. Is give and take on both sides. If it's all one sided, it's not a good partnership.
absolutely. Well, right on, sir. You absolutely, as usual, you never disappoint. One of my favorite things about you is you don't really hold back, and you're deliberately direct and transparent in your messaging. We have a good time when we talk, and it's apparent. You can kind of see that here with some of the jibs and jabs. I love having you in the environment, and we're very proud to have you as a ProCents member. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Matt, do you want to finish off with a few words before we close out?
Well, as we always say, it is about partnership, and and we say turn inwards. And Bill is one of the guys that, as Devin said, came in reluctant, but he came in and leaned in heavily, joined the board. And with that, he's not only able to see rewards from leaning in, but he's also able to help shape in what we're doing in the future. So if you're looking to get involved, take a note from Bill, get in the environment. Right now the board's full. But we've had people in the calls in the past, Ricky and Monica. They're still helping shape the environment. They're just not doing it from a board position. So take a note from Bill, join the environment, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. We are a member-run organization, and that doesn't mean that members at the top are running it. It means that we are all running it. We at ProCents, we listen to what you guys say. We want your input. We want to make this better for you. So as members of ProCents, from our perspective, what you say matters, and we're going to do everything we can to try to make sure that that you get what you need to be successful. So anyway, my story ends there. This concludes today's Inside ProCents blog session. Again, today's focus was on Bill Fricker, the owner of LED Advisors out of the great state of Ohio, not mentioning a city so I don't screw it up. Thank you once again for your time and insights. Do you want to say anything more before we close?
No, thank you for the opportunity.
You're the man. And now, as we always do, we close with a bit of our ProCents culture to do it right. To all of our current and future members, remember, success always begins with consistency. Get yourself and your organization fully connected. Be active, be responsive, always do what you say you're going to do, and remember to support the environment by always first turning inward for your organizational needs. At ProCents, we make connections that are sticky and that last, then we get out of the way. ProCents opens doors, and our participants always choose their own path, but they do it together. If you'd like to know more about ProCents, check out our website, www.procents.com, or reach out to one of our leadership team members and get on our calendars. There is no better time than right now to get on this train. Thank you all once again. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.